Oh, hi, I'm so happy you're here. I'm very excited.
Well, they say he's not coming back and nothing can fill the void, but at least we can try with food. I'll make some apple pie, come on in. It's Dead Dad's Kitchen.
Now, I don't think I've ever dove into why I love baking so much or how it became a passion of mine. And maybe one day I will. Maybe I'll do a story time or something. Well, I guess it's not really a story. My mom and I just started baking together and I loved it. And then I kept doing it. But that happened kind of like 2006, 2007-ish. And so once I was like kind of more in my vibe, it was when cupcakes were really, really popular. So like Sprinkles was popping up and a lot of like, you know, all the cupcake wars with hosted by Justin Willman, just an absolute king. I am absolutely fatal for Justin Willman. His name used to be Just Incredible because he's a magician and he's so talented. You guys might know him from Magic for Humans on Netflix. I'm low-key embarrassed to say this because I'm like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. But I kind of believe in wizards because he's so good at magic. Anyway, what was I talking about? Justin Willman. I used to go to his shows every once in a while. One time he had a show. Why am I telling this story? It's not funny. He had a show and it was great. So it's like 2008, Cupcake Wars is big. And my mom and I are at Costco. And we see, and we see this book, Hello, Cupcake. And I was like, oh my God, look at all the fun we could have. So my mom was like, I know it's super cute, but let's not get it. Maybe I'll get it for your birthday or something, whatever. So we never got it. But I remember vividly picking this book up and being like, it's so cute. It's so cute. And it says it's a New York Times bestseller. So I imagine that it was kind of like in the cupcake zeitgeist for quite some time. A mere 13 years later, my mom comes upon this in a free book section of a library she went to. And here it is. It's mine now. I, as you can imagine, am very excited to make some cupcakes from this. But I thought it'd be fun to do a little two-part series, to do a little how to make the cupcakes and then also, what's the next part? How to decorate them. I'm not gonna tell you how we're gonna decorate it yet, because you'll have to wait for Sunday's video for that. But leave in the comments what you think I'll be decorating my cupcakes with out of this book. Now, if you don't have this book, tough luck, just make your best guess. Oh my God, it's so cute, dude. That one was kind of scary though. We're gonna start our cupcakes. I'm gonna alter the recipe that's in here, but that will be in the description for you. Important thing to remember, whenever you are baking cupcakes or something that has like baking soda, or I'm sorry, baking powder in it, that leavening that comes from the baking powder is gonna start working the second all your ingredients come together. So you wanna have your oven ready to go. So I have mine preheated to 350 degrees. And the next thing we're gonna do to make sure we're prepped before everything starts coming together is get our cupcake pans ready. This recipe says that it makes 24 average size cupcakes. I've noticed that when making cupcakes, it's never really for sure if you are gonna get the amount that they say you will. So we'll just see. You need ingredients. What ingredients are you gonna need? I'm so glad you asked. You're gonna need some all-purpose flour, some baking soda, some baking powder, some salt. I like to use kosher. No! 3 eggs. Hopefully yours aren't broken, but I think it'll be fine. 1 stick of unsalted butter, some granulated sugar, vanilla extract, not vanilla flavor, and some oil. I'll get to the icing in a minute. Okay, we are going to get all of our stuff together. And to do that, we have to get all of our stuff together. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab this medium-sized bowl so that we can get our dry ingredients together. 2.5 cups of AP flour. Just a reminder, we use the spoon and level method in this house. So we have our 1 cup measuring cup and then we spoon it in there and level it off so that it's, woo, okay. I mean, that's my fault. I don't know why I'm like, I can't believe I spilled flour. A cupcake is sort of difficult to mess up. 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/2 a teaspoon of baking soda. We're gonna take our little whisk and whisk all of our dry ingredients up so that they are nice and well combined, so that there's not one big old patch of baking soda somewhere, there's not a ton of salt in one pocket, and our flour gets nice and aerated as well. Move this off to the side really quickly because we don't need it just yet. We're going to get our wet ingredients together. Now, when I say wet, this is my hair wet, this is my hair wet. That's actually kind of what I mean. Like, to me, you know, I've told you guys that sugar is technically a wet ingredient, and like, it is, but to me, a wet ingredient is like milk or eggs or vanilla, but I digress. Let's have another sip of coffee. Let's be crazy. Let's be bad. We need half a cup of milk and half a cup of veggie oil. Cutie. I'm gonna use buttermilk because it's much sexier. It brings a lot more flavor, I think. Anything that can give a little vanilla cupcake a bit of life, I think we should try and do. They would do it for us. If a vanilla cupcake was a person with vanilla frosting, what do you think their name would be? Leave it in the comments. Cutesy tootsie. Oh. Nice. How much vanilla? 1 teaspoon. There you go. I don't think it's gonna do anything if we mix it up, but it might. That looks kind of weird. Well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. So that's ready to get poured in. So we have our dry ingredients ready. We have our wet ingredients ready. And now we're going to cream our last remaining ingredients, which will be our butter, our sugar, and our eggs. I'm gonna move you right over here to see that. What we're looking for is for this butter and sugar to combine together so beautifully that it lightens in color, it lightens in density, and it gets really nice, light, and fluffy so that we can start our cake with that beautiful, light, fluffy base. And our sugar and our butter and our fats have like combined together perfectly. We love it. So our butter and sugar are getting ready for me to add the eggs into. I just want you to get a good look of how this looks before we move on to our next step, which is the addition of the eggs. Here is our creamed together butter and sugar, and then we're just gonna add our eggs one at a time. I know you can't tell here, but I do slow my mixer down to its lowest speed as I'm adding my eggs in. And please, please, please make sure that you are scraping down your bowl and your paddle after each addition of the eggs. You're gonna mix this for about a minute after you add each one, and remember your eggs should be room temperature. Hello. Remix. No. Okay, so you guys saw where I have my eggs and my sugar and my butter all combining together, really beautiful. I've put it down on low speed because now we're going to add our dry ingredients. We add our wet and dry ingredients in multiple batches, starting and ending with the dry ingredients. Now you guys will probably read that in a lot of recipes. There's a couple reasons we do this. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to incorporate a wet ingredient into a dry, like an already incorporated batter, and it might break it up. So if the dry ingredient then follows it, it sort of like gives that wet ingredient a binder to grab onto and get reincorporated into that batter. And so that's my understanding of why you start with flour and you end with flour, because you're already starting with a pretty wet, sticky base. So you add the flour, it starts to become a batter, and then you slowly incorporate that extra fat, that extra liquid, and that vanilla. And then it starts to just become this beautiful, fluffy, luscious, rich batter. That's what we're gonna do right now. And we're going to have just the most delicious cupcakes come out. I can't wait. Oh my God, you crushed that. Your batter looks so good. I can tell because mine looks so good. I am just doing one final kind of fold to make sure there's no dry spots, to make sure there's no oily spots. And then I'm going to just scrape this paddle, what is this called? Scrape this rubber spatula down, which if you guys do not have a rubber spatula, I would highly, highly, highly suggest you get one. Like one of my favorite tools to have in the kitchen. If you never saw, if you never saw my kitchen essentials video, you can check that out right here. It's kind of just a mishmash of stuff that you should totally have. So we have our oven preheated 350 degrees. We have our cupcake batter ready to cupcake. And we have our cupcake pans ready to accept the cupcake. Now, all the special utensil you will need is an ice cream scoop. If you do not have an ice cream scoop, you can use a Ziploc bag. Or if you don't want to use a plastic bag, you are more than welcome to use a couple spoons. In fact, I'll show you how to do that too. But what's important, and I think a common mistake among people who are just starting their baking journey, is when you fill a cupcake tin, it's very tempting to want to like put a ton of batter in there so you get these big, beautiful, domey cupcakes. That's not what we're gonna do, because that doesn't work. The 15 times that I've tried to make it happen can prove that to you. I want to advise you to fill your cupcake trays, to fill your cupcake liners only 2/3 of the way up, because then they'll rise and have enough room to grow and be beautiful and get their degrees and move on and break your heart. I'm gonna fill this ice cream scoop a little bit, less than I think it needs to be filled, and plop that right in there. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Look at that bad boy. Once you get the hang of it, you're gonna be a little cupcake filling queen, I'll tell you what. Let me show you how to do it with 2 spoons. Just in case. Take your 2 spoons, grab a good amount in one, and just push it off. So you don't need any special equipment, but if you would like to get something, that ice cream scoop would be wise. All right, you guys know the drill. We just put our cupcakes in the oven. As I guessed, there were less than 24. There were 21, but whatever. Don't eat cake batter. Could get you very sick. These are gonna be in the oven for like 15 to 20 minutes. The book says I will always, always, always not trust what a recipe says. I keep my eye on whatever is in my oven basically the whole time. That way I get a visual idea of when to flip the stuff, when to move it, when to take it out, etc. These are in here for about 20 minutes, so around the 8-minute mark, I will check and flip those around, move my bottom rack to the top rack to the bottom rack, and flip what was in the back to the front for both. So I will see you guys when those cupcakes are nice and done. You will know that your cupcakes are done when your toothpick should look just like this. Just the tiniest little crumbs on there. Now we obviously need to let these cool before we can ice them or do anything to them really. So I'm going to let them do just that. I'm gonna set them over on the table, let them cool down, get acquainted, and then we will start our icing just so we have it nice and ready to go. Okay, I want to share with you guys something that I hate: cleaning. You guys saw how dirty my KitchenAid got, so I gave it a nice little bath, and now we're gonna dirty it all up again. But it's gonna be worth it because we're going to make some of the best icing that you will ever have in your life. Now, I don't know if this is icing or frosting. Actually, it's probably frosting. My understanding is that frosting is like buttercream or whatever, and icing is like, oh, that is what it is. I know that. Icing is like what you would put on coffee cake or scones or something like that, something like drizzleable. And frosting is like what you put on a cake or cupcake. So here's what you're gonna need to make the absolute best frosting that you will ever have in your life. A little powdered sugar, some room temperature unsalted butter, some milk, some cream cheese, a little bit of salt, some vanilla, and if you would like to be annoying like I am, some baking powder, and if you want to be extra annoying, some citric acid, which I know is hard to find, so if you can't, it's really not a big deal. I got mine on Amazon. Now, the reason for the citric acid powder, I know it's kind of a weird extra ingredient that not many people have just like lying around, but it adds this really, really beautiful tanginess that I think plays off the cream cheese really nicely. So I like to add it. That's just like one of the little tricks I picked up from when I worked at Milk Bar. Yeah, I've kind of kept it with me. I think it's great. This is super, super simple. You're gonna need probably more powdered sugar than you think you do. I'm not super gonna measure this out. I kind of like to go by taste, but I'll bring you along for the ride. It's gonna be great. Is someone in my house? Nope, just the wind. Okay, my battery's about to die. Let's just change it now so I don't do it when I have frosting hands. You have all your stuff. You have your stand mixer. You could obviously do this with a hand mixer, or you could do this by hand. It will just take a lot longer. As you can see here, I start by adding my butter and my cream cheese, both super, super room temperature so that they can combine perfectly, and I whip those together for a couple of minutes. Then I start to add my powdered sugar really slowly, and I add a pinch of salt here, a dash of vanilla there, just a tiny, tiny bit of baking powder and citric acid. Then I will add my milk just to kind of loosen everything up, and I will continue to add as much powdered sugar as I need until it gets to the consistency and the taste that I like. I think I could have added a little bit more salt here to offset some of that sweetness, but it turned out beautiful and I am very happy with it. Okay, so we are all done mixing our ice frosting together. And I just wanted to show you what consistency I like it at. Kind of like it at like a stiff peak kind of vibe, so that if I were to use like a fun piping tip or something, it will stay in that shape or point or whatever. I'm gonna show you just a super simple way to frost your cupcake and make it very cute. We all knew it was only a matter of time before my hair went up. I'm gonna show you how to ice a cupcake with nothing but a butter knife. Got your butter knife. Get some frosting, and just put a big old glob on there. And just slowly start to move your knife back and forth so you get a nice even coating. There's no air bubbles in there. And just spread it across. I like to do a couple of these, kind of squish it around. Make sure it's a pretty even thickness all the way throughout. And then what you're gonna do is kind of circle it, circle it, circle it. And there's just your little guy right there. You can also ice your cupcake with just a little Ziploc bag if you don't have a piping bag. I have just filled up this plain old sandwich bag with as much icing as I think I'll need for 1 or 2 cupcakes. There's a little corner right there that we're gonna chop off. Because I want this to be a bit of a bigger swirl, I'm gonna cut off a good amount. There we go. That's what we're working with. Now, you're gonna take your Ziploc, just like this. It should be crinkled right here. Twist it, twist it, twist it so it's nice and taut. And you have it right in between your hands. So your pressure is gonna be coming from these fingers, and right here, the meat of your hand is gonna be the stability for it, okay? Got a nice little handle on this guy. I like to start in the middle and then just do around, around, around. Oh my God, is that not a perfect cupcake? See, you don't need a piping bag, you don't need anything fancy. You can make super cute cupcakes at home with just like a mixer, or you don't even need a mixer. You get the idea. So please make sure that you stay tuned for part 2 of this episode that's coming out on Sunday, only 2 days away, don't even worry about it, where I make some super cute cupcakes from Hello Cupcake. I got the ideas from there and I just think they're gonna be so fun. So please make sure that you bake something today, give it to somebody you love, and that includes yourself. I hope you're loving yourself today, and I hope you tune back in on Sunday, and in the meantime, eat a cupcake. That's f***ing good.
On the next episode of Dead Dad's Kitchen.
Or maybe I'll make you listen to me hear about how I don't really like corn that much. Also, I just think butter is very cute, so killer. Wow, that's too much.